Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to learn about JavaScript default parameters. So in our previous video we learned on how to use parameters and arguments to help users give in their inputs that will help the function to do whatever specific function or role it's supposed to do. Now in this video we're going to learn about default parameters. Now the name default, as the meaning goes, this is what gets used when there is no specific value that has been given in that position. Let's say you are giving in some specific usernames to every user, but let's say there's one user who didn't give in the username. Now we're going to create a default username for such a user. Or let's say you are uploading images and then it says there's some one entity that you missed to give in its image. Now we're going to create a default image for that. So that's the meaning of the word default. So in this case, or in this tutorial, we're going to learn a simple way on how to create a default parameter using a JavaScript function. So right away, let's create our function. So let's create a file here and call it a default parameter. Default param. Let's just call it default param.js. Okay. And then now we're going to create that function and call it default param. So we use the function expression and then say default parameter or param. Let's just write parameter there in full. Then our parentheses. Now inside our parentheses, that's where we are putting our parameter. So let's say name. Okay. So right away there we have our parameter, that is name, and then our curly brace, that's where our function is going to go in. Okay, so let's say we want to log out a greeting here, okay, a specific greeting to this user. So we'll say console.log, and then going to have interpolation. That's simple, that's next to number one, backsticks, and then we're going to write hello, okay, and then space, then $sign, and then curly brace, okay. And then we're going to write our variable name there. Now this variable name is the one that we have put inside our parameter on top there. So we're going to write hello name that way, okay, semicolon there. Now if we call this function and then give it an argument that is going to be in place of the parameter up there. So let's say we are calling this function of default parameter, parentheses there, and then quotes. Then let's say the name there, Mike. Okay. Now, if I run this code, it's going to salute me by saying hello, Mike. So let's run the code. Now you've seen there, the output is hello, Mike. Why? This is because we have add our statement here, which is using the dynamic parameter here, which was parameter name, and now has been replaced by the argument Mike to give us hello, Mike. Now let's say we're using the same function to greet someone else. So we're going to call the function, then pass in another argument, okay? So let's say Jen there, okay? So if I run this code, it's going to give us now two greetings. The first one, hello Mike, the second one, hello Jen. So let's see. Yes, now we see our two greetings here, hello Mike and hello Jen. Now suppose this individual didn't register in their name. Now we want our system to give in some default name that is going to stand in place of the blank parameter. Now, by achieving that, we come to our parameter here, name, then give it equal signs, then give it the quotes there, then say stranger or unknown, okay? So let's say unknown. Now, unknown is going to be our default name in case we don't pass in anything as an argument when we are going to call this function. Now, let's call this function, and this time round, we do not want to pass anything as an argument, okay? And then see what is going to be output. Remember, this function expects an argument here since there was a parameter, okay? But now we have not passed in any argument here to stand in for the parameter. So going to run the code and see whether is it going to give back an error or it's going to give a salutation that has a unknown name. So let's run the code. So now you have three greetings there. Hello Mike, hello Jen, and hello unknown. Why? This is because you have given our function a default parameter. A default parameter is the one that is going to run in place of a missing argument. Okay, so I repeat again, a default parameter is the one that is going to give us an argument that is going to replace anything that is going to miss whenever you're going to call this function without an argument. Whenever you have a function that has a parameter, it expects an argument. But just in case, when you're calling the function, you miss out to put in an argument, now the default parameter will have a value that will run and give us the default value. Now let's say we didn't have the default value here. So let's say just had name, then run the code. Let's see whether we're going to receive any salutation. Okay, so now you're having hello undefined. Why? Because the function expects an argument inside this parenthesis, since the nature of the function is that it expects to have a default value. Okay, you can call this anything, you can say stranger. Okay, so that when calling our function, now let's comment out this, or let's move out this function call. Okay, so when you're going to call this function, it's going to give us hello stranger. Okay, and if you give in a value, or if you give it in an argument, okay, let's say Aaron. Okay, so you have that greeting there. It's going to give us two specific greetings: hello stranger and hello Aaron. So that's how we're going to use default parameters whenever you're going to use a JavaScript function that has a default parameter. So thank you for watching this tutorial. Meet you in the next one.